I know, but do you think me giving that information is a good or a bad thing? Because does it educate people, or does it make people have the mindset, well, Jay did it, so maybe that's okay?
No, dude, 27 was Branch, so this is 28.
28, okay.
Yeah.
Are we live?
Let's see if we can fuck this one up, too.
All right, we're live. So we've been trying to get this done for a while, guys. Welcome back to the Cutler Cast. This is episode 28.
Yeah, 28.
We just had a big discussion on what we always try to do this at the beginning, and I just throw these numbers out there, and we made it back. So we've had a pretty long hiatus, longer than what we planned.
Yeah, it's been over a month since we've actually recorded, because we've done the last time we all recorded was when me, you, Regan, and Milos did after the Arnold in Boston, the aftermath. And then after that, there was some on the roads. You were gone, I was gone, and then we did Branch in the middle of there.
Yeah.
Sorry, we had some audio issues, but we did Branch, and then now this is the first time we've actually been able to record in a long time.
Yeah, so a lot has gone on. We're going to cover a few topics today, but we want to kind of go back a little bit because I've had some Cutler classics. You traveled to Italy.
Yeah.
Had a great trip. You got to see a couple of this. I know you got to see the Colosseum and Spanish Steps, and what else did you see?
We got to. I don't even remember.
But you toured a bunch of different. You saw this ancient city this.
We saw all kinds of stuff. We started off in Milan. Well, we'll get back to that. Let's start with the Jay Cutler Classic in Vegas here. That was about 3 weeks ago.
It was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, just over. Yeah. So I just got back from Boston. We had the Jay Cutler Desert Classic, which is an annual event. It was our 13th, I believe. It was at South Point. We had probably the best turnout we've had in quite some time, which was awesome. A lot of great competitors, a lot of happy people. The attendance was huge. A lot of the pros showed up. Flex, Regan.
Yeah.
Everybody was there.
Like everyone that
was
someone in town. I saw Hidataya in
Yeah,
there.
Hidatata came. I mean, there was Iris Kyle came. I mean,
all
was
three
there.
Cutler Nutrition girls that turned pro were all there.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool.
Yeah, which is great. And, we want to thank everyone for coming out there. It was a huge success. Always good to be back. We were no restrictions, which is the first time in quite some time. Yeah. And, we got to shoot some of the people, and once again, it was another successful event. Then I went actually right to Boston. Easter weekend, we had the Jay Cutler Classic there. It was actually held in Lynn, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, it was on marathon weekend, which is a little tough. Spring break weekend.
Does that mean it was
Easter?
Expensive as hell?
It was pricey to get there, but I got to train at Gym Hub again. Got to see Jose and Nate over there, and it was just always a good turnout there. We always have all our people from Massachusetts.
Did you actually get to see any of the marathon?
I actually drove through. I sent you the picture.
Yeah, I saw
of
you
the
driving
finish line.
through the finish line.
Yeah, so we were there on, I think, Friday, because the marathon was until Monday, and we were able to kind of see all the setup going on, and it was kind of cool to see all that and witness something I'd never seen before, right?
Yeah.
And that event also, was hindered by restrictions the last couple of years, I believe.
So this was the first time they had.
I think they canceled it the last year or two. So it was huge turnout. Expectations were huge. We stayed at the Encore Hotel, which was awesome. I got to walk on the Woodway treadmill, which I just ordered one. I'll show that.
Is it similar to the Encore out here? Is it the same?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah, not as many sights to see, but it is a nice hotel. It looks exactly the same from the outside.
So you didn't gamble all your money away?
I didn't gamble. Yeah, Angie was like, "We're gonna go play some blackjack," and I'm like, "No, man, I don't want to risk. We did well enough the last couple of weeks."
It's actually a casino too.
Oh yeah.
Because when I lived in Hong Kong, we used to go over to Macau. And they had the wins there, but they also had wins in Sanya, China, where there's no gambling allowed. So it's just a badass resort, but you can't gamble. So that's what I thought it was in Boston.
No, it was full. It's a full, they have all the restaurants, and they have the sports book, and we ate at a nice Italian place on Saturday night. It was this Nikki's place, one of my buddies out there. He opened up like an Italian place, so we got to eat there. It was probably the one major meal that we ate out, other than just room service and whatever else. So we got to relax a little bit. Went saw my mom on Sunday, my stepfather. Saw my sister for a second, but, for Easter, we didn't really do a whole lot. We had some car issues. We had dead battery, so they had to keep jumping the car, which was a pain. Yeah, she's fighting with the car company now. So,
are you trying to get all your money back?
Well, we're just trying to get some sort of, because we had to leave the car at the hotel. I don't know if I even told you this.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we were going to check out to go to the airport on Monday, and, of course, it was marathon day, so, it was kind of crazy. So we pack all our stuff. We go downstairs, call for the car. It's not coming. 30 minutes later, they're like, we can't start your car. I said, okay. Well, I had to sign a form to jump start it. Couldn't get the jump started. I went into the garage where the car was, watched them try to jump start it. It just wasn't charging enough. Mm-hmm. So we called the rental company and said, hey, come get the car. We got to take an Uber. So we took an Uber to the airport, and we flew back and had to leave the rental car.
So what are you guys fighting with the car company?
Number one, the gas tank wasn't full, okay, because we couldn't drive the car out to fill the gas before. We didn't prepay the gas. And I think she's looking for some sort, because we did have problems on Saturday and Sunday that we called roadside, and they wanted us to drive the car to Logan Airport to return it to get another one, but we were out near my mom.
How far is that?
50 minutes. So, and then we were there on Easter, and all the other locations were closed on Easter. And so they you can drop it off at the closest location. But then they kept sending us a text message saying, every place is closed. You have to bring it back to Logan to exchange it. So we literally went and visited my mom and my sister and kept the car running for 5 hours. We never shut it off because I was like, then no one have to worry about getting a jump, or some people don't have jumper cables,
So if it was running, that means the battery was bad. It wasn't all.
Yeah. So it ran, and, we end up just leaving the car. So, we're kind of going back and forth with them, but getting people on the phone still is impossible,
I've noticed that with any companies I call nowadays, you cannot get anyone on the phone. Automated systems.
It's like kind of going to the grocery store now, right? And I don't know the last time I went and actually had someone scan my items. I do it all myself and bag it myself, and they really don't want to do anything really anymore. They want to make automation.
Someone said this the other day. They put the automation in, and it's supposed to save money. Well, then why aren't grocery prices going down? If you're saving all this money, how come shit isn't getting cheaper?
It's supply
it's just
chain.
A scam. No, it's just a scam. They just want to keep ripping us all off.
Yeah, it's all supply chain, I think.
No, I didn't know your car had. That's the worst.
Yeah.
So issues. I literally just looked up today on my Twitter account from 2 years ago. So I went down to Mexico and rented a car, $14 for the day, and they put an $11,000 hold on my card to rent a car for $14. And they said, we're gonna put a hold on your card as much as this vehicle is worth. for $14 charge, it was $11,000. It shows the charges like $5,100, $5,100, and $1,200 or some shit.
I'm shocked that your credit card allowed that.
Dude, I'm fucking broke, man. It was maxed out.
That's funny. Yeah, nothing is cheap. The rates were at the hotel were the most I paid. Stayed there. I think I paid $600 a night.
That's a lot. I'm surprised you paid that much.
At a casino. Well, I got a really nice room. They upgraded me. The flights were outrageous. I paid $1,200 or $1,300 a ticket, which ridiculous. For a business ticket, and the rental car for whatever 4 days was like $400.
So this cost you like $5,000.
Oh, you got to pay to play, right? We talked about that this morning. I
would have stayed at a Red Roof Inn.
I know. Dude, everything, the room service. Breakfast is $150. Nothing's. You know how it is when you stay in hotels. So, great success. On the way back though, the mask got dropped. We can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, this mask shit, and I don't think people realize how much of a headache it has been for those of us that travel a lot. Whenever you travel, domestically, sometimes they're okay about it, but most of our flights aren't super long, so you can kind of get away with it. But when you travel overseas, which I've done 4 times during the pandemic, certain airlines, they're like fucking Nazis with this shit.
Well, you always seem to have the most problem because I remember we were texting, you were somewhere, and they were just busting your chops about the mask.
So the worst one we've had so far, when we had that whole massive travel disaster and they stuck us on Lufthansa from Denver to Frankfurt, we got downgraded from business to economy. And so Regan hadn't slept. So he falls asleep he'll fall asleep in 3 seconds. Every time he'd fall asleep, his mask would fall off and they would come wake him up. So they'd come fuck with him and wake him up and blah, blah, blah. The last time, the lady came by and shook him and put a piece of paper in front of it. And it said something like, if we have to warn you one more time, you're going to be kicked off this plane and you're never going to be allowed to fly him again. It was so bad. But this happened even our last time when we went over to Italy. Everywhere you go, like when you're flying in these long flights and you're trying to sleep, they just falls off your face and you can't help it. And they get mad at you, but it's like, what can you do when you're sleeping? You don't know the mask is falling off your face.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was kind of wondering on the way back. I mentioned to you, like, we went in the lounge before we took off in Boston. And there was like a great buffet they had. So I went up and I got all the food. I had no mask on. I took it off as when I got in there because we're drinking and whatever. And then Angie went up after me because I was sitting with the dogs. The dogs were with us. And she went up, and of course she didn't have a mask. And the woman like beelined that in the check-in desk and ran over to her, and she's like, "Ma'am, can you please put your mask on?" And she came back, and she was a little irritated because she said the woman kind of like, she made a scene of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever. And then we get on the plane, and everyone's hitting me up. Like, you text me, Dave texts me, and they're like, the masks are done.
You could take it off at that point.
But I was kind of wondering because I kind of had it pulled down, and granted I was eating and drinking a lot, but they weren't saying anything to anyone. Like the woman was totally on the plane. I flew Delta. She was 100% just super nice. Yeah. So I got to Vegas, and I think you had texted me like right before I landed, like, hey, this, or someone else did, or it was on Instagram maybe. Yeah. And I walked off the plane, bro, and like everyone's sitting, no one had masks on. They were all off. I mean, random people did. And then I noticed like people coming from security didn't have masks. And I'm like, wow, it's a real thing.
Yeah, I saw some videos on YouTube of the flight attendants walking up and down saying, if you don't want to wear your mask, and they had a garbage can and people are throwing them in the garbage
I still
can.
see a lot, though, of people posting, hey, I think I'm going to still wear a mask because, on the planes, you get a lot of bad air.
But you know what, man? Look, if you want to wear one, go for it. I don't care.
I've worn, on some of these flights when I sleep, I try to cover my mouth with stuff because, when people are coughing, especially during the cold season, like you're on a flight, you fall asleep, we're laying in, whatever business, we're trying to sleep. You have sometimes you usually sleep with your
you remember when they
your
gave
mask.
me all that shit about the sleep apnea?
Yeah.
They're called the pilot. This guy is a machine that would let me use it.
So and they had inspected and shit. So any of you guys, make sure you register your sleep apnea machine for internationals, right? So and listen, you were 1K then. Yeah. So so it was kind of good that thing kind of disappeared. And like I said, I've stated this over and over. I never believed that the mask did a whole lot. But I'm not against people if you have your choice, right, or choose not to be. Or I'm not the guy that's like, I notice people still are wary about getting in elevators with people. And like, I'm fine with all that,
The masks never bothered me because, I lived in Asia for 2 years. And it's very common over there to see people wearing masks in public, even 10 years ago. So it never bothered me. If someone wants to wear one, go for it. I don't care. It doesn't affect me like one way or another. But some people get really mad at it.
I would like it to be a personal choice. That's all. I would like it to be a personal choice. If they decide to bring this shit back, unfortunate if they do, right? Yeah. I mean, I was on Instagram looking at Coachella all weekend. Yeah. And everyone's raving and everything else. And I'm thinking, this is kind of crazy that we're still wearing this stuff because we know the date. It was supposed to be early April. They were supposed to get rid of this. And, now it seems like it's a real thing. So it's going to make traveling a little easier now. And I guess public transportation, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking of all the trips this year that we still have. Look, we got to go to Canada next week, and we still got a Germany trip. We still got a UK
trip. So hold on. We're going to Canada, but we're going to
so the first stop, we leave next Thursday. The first stop is Friday in Saskatoon.
Okay.
And then Saturday morning we have Regina.
Yeah.
From like 10 to 12. Then we fly to Edmonton. We have an appearance in Edmonton on Saturday evening. and then Sunday we're in Kelowna, and then Monday we're in Calgary, and then Tuesday we fly home. So it's 5 stops.
All for Supplement World.
Supplement World.
Yeah, we're doing a makeup tour because this was scheduled for
last
October, I think.
Yeah, actually, was it this last October? Yeah. I think
it was around October.
Originally, it was supposed to be even before that, and it's kept getting pushed back. Now, I don't know if they have any type of restrictions.
We don't care. We're going. So
no, of course we're going.
We're going. Saskatchewan, all that.
Yep.
Like we're touring that whole region. I know you Toronto people keep asking.
Toronto, and Vancouver. I get so many people. I'm like,
so
hey, look, we're there for a store chain that's bringing us in. So
yeah, I mean,
unfortunately,
we have a lot of stuff. We just booked for. Looks like for FIBO next year will be
2023 FIBO.
Germany. I mean, we're talking maybe Scandinavia the end of the year. Still a possibility.
So far it's kind of a verbally it'll be the first weekend of December, but it's not contracted yet. But we got the Arnold UK. It's the 3rd week of September, and then we're still working on some stuff around that. We'll see if it pans out, and then I think maybe we'll do something in the Middle East in October.
But we definitely got Fit Expo LA, which I'm going to be there the 22nd of May. Yep. We have the American Fit Expo, which is July 23rd weekend.
3rd week in July.
I mean, I have a ton of stuff in between. I'll be in Pittsburgh. I'll be in New Jersey. I mean, New Jersey, I'll be in the same weekend as LA Fit Expo. You'll be there all weekend.
You got a San Diego appearance?
Yeah, San Diego in June. I'll be at Nutrition Corners early.
I'm sure more and more stuff will keep piling in, so just always stay tuned.
Yeah, we're getting requests. I mean, we're sitting here going over more requests for foreign,
more international.
Visits.
That's the only thing that makes me a little weary about the international is because some countries still have different rules with when we travel, we just go travel like normally you wear a mask. But some of these countries you go to, you have to have certain either a PCR test or antigen test, and you have to get it. When you come back to the States, you have to get it within 24 hours. So you can't just get it 3 days in advance. So sometimes you got to jump through hoops to go in and out of the country. But I'm hoping by the end of the year, we won't have to deal with this anymore and we'll be back to normal.
Tell me about your Italy trip.
Italy was definitely.
You got to see, listen, we've been all over the world, but
yeah,
I know you went for business. I know Regan was there.
So basically what happened was Regan signed to Yamamoto Nutrition, and Yamamoto wanted him to come over to their headquarters, which is about an hour and a half outside of Milan. So we went over we flew into Milan, and of course we were delayed, so we got stuck in Switzerland for like an extra 4 hours. So we got, as usual, missed our business tickets, downgraded to the back of the plane. It was a short flight, so I didn't care. So we got there, we got to our room, and the next day we went and toured the headquarters, which is beautiful. It's in this massive skyscraper. And then every day they took us to a different place to do filming, and we just slowly went down the coast. We had a van, and they just took us from city to city. And once we got to Rome, we got to go see, different, ancient treasures that people have wanted to see. I wanted to see the Colosseum more than anything. We saw that, the Spanish Steps.
How incredible was it?
You can't describe those things in person.
Have you seen it before?
No, No, I've been to Italy 3 times, but I've never been to Rome.
Wow.
And I wanted to go see the Sistine Chapel. We just didn't have time. But we'll definitely go back there before the year's up for sure. And we'll try to get you over there too.
I saw you guys did a lot of shooting and
we filmed in so many places, but there's still a lot of stuff to see in Italy. I didn't go get to see the Sistine Chapel.
What did you eat?
Fucking pizza.
It's amazing, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't fuck with your stomach. Like you eat pizza here and it's a total gut bomb.
So every night I saw you guys were eating feast. Like, did they just order a ton of food or?
Yeah. Everywhere you go, it's just like, oh, we'll just get a pizza out. And they bring this freaking tray out and it's
huge,
like 4
right?
feet long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's kind of hard to say no. But when you eat the pizza there, it's not like eating pizza here. Here you eat pizza, you get hot flashes and your blood pressure goes up. It's just awful. There you eat it and it goes to your body just like rice does. It's like, I don't know if it's just the food's processed different or what, but it doesn't.
Did you eat like on several times a day or one big meal in the evening? Like, how did Regan stay on his diet?
Well, Regan's off season now, but
was he eating enough?
He still ate pretty clean.
Okay.
He still just ate, steak and chicken and he didn't eat a ton of carbs because he's got a guest post this weekend in Orlando. So he stayed on diet for the most part and just ate clean. You know, one day he had some ice cream and stuff, and I think he had pasta once or twice.
He texted me 2 days ago, and I said, "How are things?" You know, he says, "I wish I could book a flight back to Vegas right now." You know, so I guess he's definitely transplanted in Las Vegas for good now. He loves it.
Yeah, he loves it. It's kind of, you know, it's tough when you live here because people that haven't lived here, I always tell people it's two worlds. There's the Strip, and everyone thinks it's this party spot, and how can you live there? But when you live here, it's just a different world. Everything you need is here, especially if you're a pro bodybuilder. This is the place to be because it's got all the amazing gyms. And, I mean, where else can you go get sushi at 2 a.m?
Yeah, I know he lived, like, outside Toronto, but...
He lived in London.
Like, so, but a lot of people, man, like, rave about Toronto. And, I mean, I visited there. I know it's just been crazy because of restrictions, right? But, like, that is the most request I get of, like, when are you going to come visit again? Yeah. It was huge back in the day.
Toronto's beautiful, though. It's a beautiful city. It's to me, Toronto kind of reminds me of I don't know how to say it, a nicer version of New York City. You know, just more advanced. You know, because New York, go to downtown. It's been around since the early 1900s.
A lot of fitness people, though, it seemed to come out of that
Canada,
region.
There's a ton. You know, plus
Dorian's
really gyms up there, the Pure Muscle and Fitness. So you have most of the vast majority of the pros train there, and that we still haven't been to that gym since he's opened it.
I know,
because he opened it right before the restrictions.
We need to go visit. Maybe that would be a great destination spot for us to go.
Yeah, we'll just look at something. We go East Coast, and we'll just go pop up to Toronto for a couple days. We'll do Cutler Cast on the road.
Yeah, be good inside the gym. You know, I want to talk a little bit about these podcasts I've been doing a little bit.
Okay.
As you know, I've been a little off topic with, a lot of them have gone deeper into, with bodybuilding and talking about, what it took to get there.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have, actually said to me, they respected me coming out a little bit and talking a little bit more about, what I did, for like, as far as drug use. Right.
Uh-huh.
And you've been familiar with it. I mean, bodybuilding circles, and it was kind of like the unspoken word. And, I did a couple episodes. Obviously, Greg Doucette was one of the big ones that I did. And I talked about it. I know some of the other channels ran with that, right? Yeah. And a lot of questions like, okay, why did it take you so long to come forward? And I think you know the reason why.
I think, just my opinion, the reason you didn't was when you're at the top, there's a certain level of professionalism you have to have, and that was always a taboo subject. And a lot of people that are younger look up to you, and it's just something you just stay away from.
I know, but do you think me giving that information is a good or a bad thing? Because does it educate people, or does it make people have the mindset, well, Jay did it, so maybe that's okay?
I look at it as a positive. And the reason I say this is, look, I've been around this for, even though I'm not a pro body, I've been around it for most of my life. And the stuff that people do nowadays is just fucking ridiculous. And they always assume if somebody's bigger or better than me, they're taking more drugs than I am. And the reality is, if somebody's bigger and better than you, they're just bigger and better than you. It's not because of the drugs they're taking. It's because of the work ethic. It's because they're taking it more serious. They're sleeping. And genetics play the biggest role in this, to me. So when you look at what some of these guys are putting in their body, the first thing that goes to my head is, one, A, where can you put all this? And B, you're going to hurt yourself. And they'll go, well, so-and-so did this. And I'm like, no, so-and-so didn't do that. That's a lie.
Yeah, this is the issue. And this is, I'm going to talk, I'm not going to go deep into this, but when I started, it was about taking one thing, right? You took testosterone, or you took whatever, Inanavar, or whatever. It was like one, considered a cycle, like a 10 or 12 week cycle. And then you came off for 10 or 12 weeks. And then you maybe did another one, depending on what your goal was, right? It wasn't multiple things. Like, now everyone that comes to me is like, I'm on this, and this. Like, that's not, like, I can tell you for cycle after cycle that I did from the time I was 20 years old, 21, 22. Granted, I got ready for a show. I might have taken 3 different things, or 4, like whatever it was. Okay. Not necessarily the early shows, but because for Teenage Nationals, I was pretty much natural, right? So, you end up like hearing these horror stories about why do you have to take so many things? What do you know if it's working or not? I understand cutting for a show, like we take things that might hinder, like they take down the body fat a little more or get rid of water, right? And we consider this part of our protocol, but at the same time, we talk about like drugs and everything. I base everything off testosterone, and then you start putting in exotics and everything else. Why are people starting with multiple things these days? I don't know, like with you or what you've seen with people around you, but people didn't take multiple things.
No, I think it, and look, you can't blame any one thing, but I think a lot of times, a lot of these coaches don't know what they're doing, and they don't know how to diet people properly. So they say, if I sling all this shit at the wall, something's going to stick. And they've done this 2 or 3 times, or maybe they had a coach at one point that did that, and they slung a bunch of shit at the wall, and they just don't care about people's health.
So you're thinking a lot of it's hearsay.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, you and I were, I'm not going to say the person's name, we were eating with them overseas, and they showed us what they were taking. I don't know how the hell you could even fit that much in your body. It was so ridiculous. It was like triple what I've ever heard anyone even taking. Yeah. And this person was, 230 pounds. And I don't understand why people just, like you'll see a men's physique guy and they're, hey, I'm taking 1,000 milligrams of this and 1,000 of this and 1,200 of this. And I'm thinking, God, I knew 300-pound guys that didn't even take 200 or 300.
Very little.
But they slept, they ate, they trained their ass off, and they didn't do all these other things. And plus, they weren't taking all these peptides and all this other stuff. And I don't know what one thing it is to blame, but there's a lot of misinformation, and everybody thinks if somebody's bigger or better, that means they're taking more, and that's just not the reality.
So the reason I did this, guys, the reason I did it, and actually, it was not even a planned thing. I just Greg Doucette had asked me, what's off topic? And I said, nothing. Like, you can't, like, I'm not going to say there's something or nothing that you can't talk about. I was an open book. And remember, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to sit there and remember everything that I ever did, to be honest. I can't think back 20 years ago. My memory as it is half shot anyway with certain things. But like I sat there and thought back, okay, what did I cycle? What did I do during this time? And if you ask me, what did you do for like 03 Olympia versus 06? I really don't know, to be honest. I kind of followed the same kind of protocol all the way through. Obviously, as I got deeper and carried more muscle, like I may have taken things in or out. And obviously certain dosage got higher. Like I talked about the GH, my first time I used it, I took maybe 4 IUs, and I mean, it went up to 12 or 10. 10 was like 9 was usually around the sweet spot. But I've taken up to 12, which isn't necessary in my opinion. Like I said, I went higher than I probably should have.
There's guys now that take way more than that.
Yeah, but I think that's like, no way am I saying that's what you should take. Like, I think 4 works. I said it was overrated. Like, I think it was overpriced. And, we talk about this all the time. Like, is it necessary? I mean, some people like, oh, it helps with anti-aging and this, that. Maybe it does. But listen, the truth is we're all going to get older, right?
Of course.
All of us, our testosterone is going to go down as we get older. There's no question. Some people will never use testosterone therapy, but others choose. That's what they're going to do, right? I chose, obviously to stay on testosterone therapy. I feel that I not to say I need to, like my body's probably, yes, not like what it could have been, right?
But you probably have to be on it at your age now, and the things you did when you're younger probably permanently suppressed you.
Yeah, I mean, but I've never had the down points like some people talk about the horror stories about coming on or off. You know me. I mean, you've known me from when I competed.
Yeah.
Before I was great at what I did, and when I retired, I never had an issue with downsizing. Like, you never hear me say, we train together all the time, and like, I don't sit there and say, damn, I'm so pissed I'm not strong, or, oh, man, I'm losing weight, or I'm more worried about being lean and looking healthy than I am about what I look like in the gym or pump. I just know that a lot of times we work out, and I'll be honest, I don't get a huge pump.
No, but there's
it's food related, it's sleep related, it's travel related, like all this stuff. Yeah. I'm not going to blame the drugs. I'm sure if I got on a crazy drug cycle, I could be a lot fuller, but what's the point? I'm 48 years old. I mean, that's not my goal anymore. And I tell everyone, anyone over 40, you're risking it when you're up closer to 300 pounds. I've said this to you. You were 280 a few years ago at over 40.
Yeah.
It's not healthy, man.
No, I mean, even
and what do you weigh now?
265.
And
that's still too
does
big.
it ever concern you?
Of
like,
course.
You concern your health?
Yeah. I mean, I know I need to get smaller. There's no need for me to be.
But you're monitoring your blood work. I mean, we talked. I know you.
I mean, look, I got my blood pressure. I donated blood. I get my blood work done every 3
I mean,
4
we're
months.
very careful about that. I mean, we're both, kind of like.
Even when I got my blood
concerned
pressure
about
done
it.
this last time, it was like 110/65, which I mean, that's the that'll mess up. Your
But I
kidneys.
notice, like, sometimes you say to me, you're like, man, I'm not feeling the best. Like,
Yeah.
maybe you're not sleeping well, and you're like, maybe I need to go get my blood work. But I think when you're into training and eating more, maybe on some sort of testosterone therapy, I think every 6 months you should have blood work done. That's my opinion.
And it's not as expensive as people think either.
Yeah.
So many people can't afford it. It's not expensive. The last time I got mine done, I actually just went online and I ordered it online. There's like different websites you can
How
go
much
to.
did it cost?
$120.
Yeah, so you guys out there that are avoiding it because of cost, I mean, for a while, be honest, you probably thought it was expensive, right?
I mean, I always had some connection, but there were times where I'd call places because you want it to be as convenient as possible. And there's times I'd call places and they'd be like, "Oh, it's $250." I'm like, I'm not paying $250 for that. I'll call this place and
But this is when you had insurance on and off. Now, obviously, you have to carry insurance now.
yeah. I have
But
insurance.
there's been times lapse, like when you moved or whatever else that you didn't carry that
It's crazy.
insurance.
What really sucks is when you move to a different state. Like when I moved back to Nevada, I didn't have insurance for a certain amount of time because I couldn't get it because of some weird. You have to wait till there's open enrollment because I work for myself, so I don't have an employer that can just put me on. So you can either go get like certain insurances. So I'd keep it in that state that I was living in, and then once I could get it here, I'd cancel it there.
Great topic for people coming to move to Las Vegas. Do we have good health insurance available here?
No, that's
We
the
don't.
one downfall. One downfall with Nevada in general is they don't have platinum plans. They have gold plans. Platinum is like the best of the best. They do not have platinum plans in Nevada.
Like listen, for me, like I have no budget for insurance. Like
doesn't matter. Whatever it costs,
but
it costs.
I bought the best insurance I could buy, and it's still not great. I still have a big deductible. I think I pay $3 and change a month.
I think mine's like
No, I pay $400. I think.
mine's like with dental and vision, everything. It's like $415. Even though I've never had a cavity and I don't.
Yeah.
But it's $415. No, $515 for all of them. And I think I have a $1,500 deductible, and then the max out of pocket's like $6,500.
But if you do it with a business, like which is how I'm doing it now,
then
because I'm, obviously you want to put Angie on. She used to have great insurance when she worked for the union here.
Of course,
She had the best. Yeah.
Then you can get those platinum type plans. But if you work for yourself, you can't get them.
So now it'd be great when I carry it through the business. And
But getting blood work done, everyone should get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I know we were going to touch on it. We had another person pass away in Cedric, and everyone has their opinions why. Obviously, none of us know.
We can't talk. We can't talk on someone's.
I have
health,
no
right?
idea why, and whatever it is, it doesn't change what happened. But I do know, he had some health, concerns, but he was actually getting it looked at. He wasn't ignoring it, So, but that
Very,
was
very sad case. I mean, I've had a lot of great run-ins with Cedric. I mean, my buddy Kevin used to train him back when he won his pro card. He was a good old boy from, South Carolina, and he was a big figurehead in our industry. He was someone that people looked upon. He was like one of the big aesthetic guys and probably one of the best physiques we've seen in quite some time. Just always like very hard to peak. Perfect. And if we always said, like, I remember when I saw him win the Nationals, I said, this guy could be like the next Ronnie Coleman,
Yeah.
Because he had the height, he had the taper, he had the aesthetics, he had the
He had
posing, he had the
Lines,
personality, he had a great personality. And it's just really sad, He was such a good man. I remember when he was if you remember, he won the Arnold, and he talked about buying the school bus for the kids, and you know, he left behind some children and obviously a family, a wife, everything, and it's a terrible situation, and people try to point fingers and say this is why this happened, or like you know, they try to point fingers towards the bodybuilding side, you know, and he was doing what he loved to do. Obviously, he was a serviceman too. But once again, I mean, he was 44. He had to be close to 300 pounds.
He was competing in the upper 280s.
So, you know, I'm just going to state what my thought on all this is, okay? And I've said it before. You know, bodybuilding used to be a young man's game.
Yeah.
Okay, when I came into it, I saw Haney and Rich Gaspari, Lee Labrada, I mean, Sean Ray, all these guys retired into their, you know, mid-30s or early 30s. You know, we saw Arnold walk away, you know, in his late 20s, whatever, 30, close to 30. You had your Albert Beckles and I guess Serge Nubret, these guys that were a bit older doing it. Chris Dickerson won the Mr. Olympia around 40. Mm-hmm. But and you know, obviously we saw Sean Roden win at 43. There's not to say you can't do it, but is it suggestive to be a competitive bodybuilder on that level into your 40s? I think not.
It's a risk.
I think not. I still think just like I hate to compare it to other, I say sport, and I apologize because I know some people take this, like they get offended. This business, I just still think, you know, you should look at it as like, hey, it's a younger man's game. And I think that's why so much appeal is looking at classic physique, because a lot of the top guys are in their 20s, right? And that's how I came into bodybuilding, looking at these guys on magazine covers, whether it was the cars or the hot girls, you know, with, you know, beautiful like skin, great look. And, you know, you saw the portrayal of like kind of that artist type, like the whole thing that makes you a bodybuilder. Yeah. And I saw the transition. I mean, guys just got older, and not to say like, listen, we've had a lot of great champions. I mean, that were winning. I retired at 40. I think it was too long. I think I went a little longer.
Didn't you say at one point you wanted to retire at like 34?
Yeah, 30. I mean, 30.
I remember reading that in a magazine.
30, because I remember this was 23 years old. I was saying this, and I thought I would achieve everything by then, because I was just going by what I thought the age bracket was on a successful bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. But of course, the endorsements got bigger. I still think your body peaks in its 30s. But man, you know, to push your body to that extreme, to have the stress, you know, of the competitions, and man, it's very stressful. I mean, for a guy that stood on the biggest stage, I don't believe it's the best choice to do this well into your 40s and 50s and 60s. Not to say that it's bad to get ready for a bodybuilding competition, you know, at those, but in the professional top tier, Mr. Olympia level, yeah. I'm not so sure about it. And I know I'll get some people that will disagree with me.
That's fine. It's their opinion.
But this is my thought. And this, I know a lot of people have been asking me through social media what my thought was on this, and I haven't really discussed it that often. And I just wanted to go on record and just say, like, I'm not so sure that it's something that's the smartest choice.
Did you feel different when you were in the last couple times you competed versus when you're?
Yes.
Like what differences did you feel?
It was a lot harder for me to peak. You've seen me close to my deathbed, dude, and I say that lightly. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's really sad that, like, I can sit here on this podcast and reminisce. I'm reminiscing, so that's why I'm kind of looking down and thinking, and like, God, you know, 2 or 3 Olympias, I'm like, why do I do this? It shouldn't be like that. Like, you're the best in the world at what you do. And I was trying to defend the title, and I was dehydrated to the point where my mind wasn't there. And it was always the dehydration process that was the hardest for me. But I just think the expectations grew so much for me to be so good. Yeah. I was only, you know, you have to push yourself, and this is crazy, okay, I'm going to say, we said this about Rami last. You have to put yourself in this dark place for like the 2 or 3 weeks prior to the show to bring your body to that crazy level. And you guys that have done this, you know, the Phils and Dexters and Ronnie Coleman, like, you know what I'm talking about, okay? And I'm sure Rami can tell you from, like, he had to go to that place he's never gone before to hit that peak, right? We all have to do it. And it's and not to say it's only bodybuilding. Like when you talk about these people that build their business and they work in their office, you know, all day. And I remember Paul Gardner from Muscle Tech, he would, you know, work all day at the office, go home, put his kids to bed, and go back to the office and work into the nights. Yeah. Like to build that company and sell it for $1 billion, right? Yeah. You have to sacrifice.
If you want to be the best.
Yes. And you have to have that headspace and not, that's the one thing is certain people aren't capable of going to that place.
It's a mental thing.
Yes. So if you say to me, like, how did I feel? Not good. Not good, but like I felt really good when I won the title. Yeah. Or when I got second.
No, what I meant was like physically health-wise.
Listen, I will go on record and say I never had high blood pressure. Never had a absolute terrible blood test. I've had liver enzymes, never had kidney issues. I've done the heart test or whatever way back before people even talked about heart studies. I did it with Mark Nally. He was here from Flex. We did a whole thing on the treadmill. This was before now with the new testing with the CT scans, right? 300 pounds. I never, listen, I did it all. I ate 10 meals a day. I ate 400 grams of protein, 450 some days. I settled at 300 grams of protein a day and a lot more carbs, as you know. Took, various, PEDs. I used all the supplements. I walked away and I have no signs of being a bodybuilder, meaning like, okay, what damage have you done?
Why do you think that is? I have my opinion, but
genetics.
Genetics are the biggest part.
I did eat very healthy. I didn't do recreational drugs around it.
Yep.
I slept. I drank a ton of water. I feel my diet, like you traveled with me, I was on a good diet all the time. Even to this day, I still stay on a decent diet. I didn't take a lot of drugs compared to what people's perception is.
I think genetics are the biggest thing.
Of course.
Because obviously if
my dad was 92 when he passed.
You can look at your parents. Did they have these health issues?
My mom's 81.
Look, obviously something else, freak things can happen.
Yes.
Usually it goes by your parents. If you don't have heart issues, you don't have these other issues. But you always ate organic. You got your deep tissue work multiple times. You always were taking care of your body, but you trained a certain way. Like my ex-wife was basically a doctor, right? Yeah.
And I was adamant when I say every 6-month blood test, I did every 6-month blood test. I tested myself on my biggest cycles and my non-cycles.
Yeah.
Okay. I did not bridge between cycles. I didn't take anything.
And most everybody does it now.
And you know what? I know some people have ran with this and said, Jay, you're wrong. You should have been taking TRT in between, but I didn't. What do you want me to tell you? I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'll argue to the end of time with people saying, well, I did it this way. These are my genetics. I'm not saying that every person is going to have the same result. I mean, I trained and ate. I'm sure there's a lot more people that were more dedicated than me, but they didn't become Mr. Olympia, right?
Of course.
But I did it. What do you want me to tell you? I'm not going to lie and say, well, I did this or did that. I didn't take HCG between cycles and all that stuff. I didn't take a Remedex when I took my testosterone shots I didn't do all that stuff. Yeah. I never took Propecia or anything for hair loss ever. You're supposed to, right? You're supposed to take Clomid after a cycle. I never did.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do any of that stuff, right?
I remembered watching that. What was that? Bigger, Stronger, Faster? And the one doctor that was on there said, everything you put in your body, there's a risk. No matter what, even an Advil, there's a risk-reward ratio. And the less things you put in your body, the less problems you're going to have. Even if it's something as simple as a tamoxifen or an HCG, it doesn't matter. It's still a drug.
It's like people saying, oh, don't use Splenda, use Stevia, or...
You don't really use either.
I don't really drink coffee, right? When we go away, I'm not a huge
coffee here or there once in a while.
I do it more for flavor, but I don't know. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. I don't want to, like, if you guys have any comments or whatever, if you guys saw these episodes or you have questions, like, and we can bring it up in another episode. You know, I'm not afraid to tell the truth. Like, and it's the truth, guys. Like, I'll be honest, like, I don't remember everything. I truly don't. And I'm not trying to block out and lie to you guys about things. But, I mean, man, I did, like I mentioned, I did it all. And I did it all with some certainty of, like, okay, this is what's recommended. But a lot of it was trial and error. And I abused. There's no question I abused the drugs I took.
Yeah, in order to become the best in the world, you had no choice.
I did. And
you did what you had to do to be the best.
I did. And the one advice I can give to you younger people that are following this, that are cycling, I think, my opinion, you should come off things and cycle.
I was going to say that's the major thing that I've noticed between today's bodybuilders and when I got around it in the 90s. The guys, when they were done with their show, they wouldn't train for a while, and they would come off everything for months, 3, 4, 5 months at times. And then when they would come back on, their body was fresh, so they didn't have to take a ton, to where now guys will say, well, I've been off for 3 weeks, or I've been off for 6 weeks. Okay, you've been off for 6 whole weeks? Well, yeah, I'm only doing 500 milligrams of this, and I'm only doing Anavar. And I'm like, then you're not off, dude. Your receptors are still getting shot. So the next time when you bring it back up, you got to take more and more and more. And then you start having physical problems because you're taking so many drugs, when if you'd come off, your body wouldn't need it.
It's just like the pre-workouts. I had someone hit me about my Triumph test booster. They said, should I come off? Yes, I think you should cycle off. Anything you take for a lengthy amount of time, you should cycle off of. That's just how I see it. It's just like people with coffee. Like, if you're drinking 4 coffees a day, eventually your body's feeling it, but you're not going to feel it in your mind.
I was just going to say, I'm going through that right now.
Okay. So
I've noticed I could drink 2 energy drinks. I could drink 4 or 5 cups of coffee, and it doesn't affect me, which means my adrenal glands are working. So now what I've been doing is, in the morning I have 1 cup, and then I put a 2nd cup of decaf, so it's 50-50. So I'm doing that, so I'm slowly bringing it down, and eventually I won't consume any caffeine for like a couple months.
Yeah.
So then when you do drink 1 cup of coffee, you're wired. But just like anything, you can't keep taking.
You build up a tolerance, but that doesn't mean your heart rate's not rising. Your heart rate's probably still going up. Yep. But that's I hate to go off on a tangent about that, because I know we were talking about like Cedric and whatever else. He's going to be greatly missed. I mean, I know the question is like, well, how can we save bodybuilding? Like, now these people are like, well, let's change the game. Let's not make the guys get so big.
It's not going to happen.
What's your take on it? I know I'm gonna
look. They're no matter what.
Can classic physique take over because they assume that classic physique take a lot more gear than what the open people do? I think it's individual. I think it's individual.
When you're trying to become the best in the world, people are always going to push the envelope.
I know, but what it is. But that doesn't mean that every guy takes more than. That doesn't mean that an open guy takes more or less than a physique guy or a classic physique guy.
No. In my opinion, the main difference between the two is the open guys have just been doing it longer, or they're eating more,
but they weigh more.
Yeah.
Do you think the weight has something to do with it? Like.
With health issues?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, that's why there's no... Because is there any 60-pound, 300-plus pound guys other than guys that have gained the weight to get there?
And I'm going to say this. So my uncle that raised me was a physician. And I have another uncle that was 400 pounds, and he had health problems. And my one uncle went in to see him, my other uncle that's a doctor. It's on different sides of the family. And my uncle... that was the physician, looked at him and said, do you want to walk your daughters down the aisle? And he said, well, yes. And he goes, how many 60-year-old, 400-pound people do you see alive? And then he said, how many 50-year-old? How many 40-year-old, 400-pound people? He's like, you are going to die if you don't fix this. Within 6 months, he had heart failure. he's still alive, but he has a trach in his neck. He has a defibrillator, and he's in a world of hurt because of the weight he had on him. Now, he also told me when you are muscular, it's harder on the heart than when you're obese, because muscle requires more blood volume for your heart to pump than if you're just obese. So a lot of these guys that are bodybuilders, yes, it is harder on your heart. And if you have in your family, if you have genetics of having heart attacks, if people in your family have, you're more susceptible to having that. And that's where the genetics thing play a role.
But there's no guys that should be 300 plus pounds I just don't believe at a certain age. Like, unless you're 7 feet tall, I understand you have to weigh a certain amount, right? Just because of your body
like
mass.
Shaq's probably 350, but it's massive.
It's just not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not healthy, right?
Yeah.
And at some point that's the biggest thing is, like, people say, why don't you look like you used to look? I mean, there's a lot of factors with that. You can't. Like, if I want to live, and I don't have an age like guys, I want to live to 80 or 90 or whatever else. I wanted to live a life after bodybuilding and be able to do the things I do and travel the world and represent, with what I was able to build upon. Like, I never imagined I'd get to this point. So for me, I love working out. I love eating healthy. I love feeling good. I love getting up and doing my cardio. I meditate in the morning, doing my cardio. I did it this morning. I walked around. I was sending you messages in between, but like, I love my life. Like, I love what I do. And, it's just sad that some people don't forecast, take care.
Even where your weight is now, like your body, you're comfortable at that weight.
How much
do you weigh now?
Like high 220s.
Yeah. And I'm sure one day you'll get smaller.
Of course.
But
I'm slowly getting there.
Yeah, I remember when you couldn't get below 260.
I know.
270,
I know, but when you eat 5-6 meals a day,
and if you wanted, you could probably be back up to 270. And
I mean, you just say, people that say, "Oh, I can't lose the weight," they just cut your calories way down. You lose the weight and do cardio. You know what I mean?
Of course,
you'll always be able to shrink down a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I need to do more, because I'm only doing, I just do 30 minutes in the morning.
Do you think? Let's talk a little bit about fasted cardio. How important is it in your routine?
Well, I'm not consistent. I'm honest.
I know, but like, when you do fasted cardio, do you feel it jumpstarts your day a little better?
When I do fasted cardio, I don't have a problem digesting food as much. And I've had a problem with that for many years, where when I was younger and I wanted to be a pro bodybuilder, I could eat 7 or 8 times. Every 2 hours I was hungry. It would just go through me. Once in my late 30s, when I hit around 40, I had a hard time, if I ate a meal, being able to eat again shortly. Sometimes I would eat for half a day. It's just hard to get the food down. And if I don't do cardio, I can legit eat once or twice a day, and it just takes that long for the food to go through me. Now, if I do cardio in the morning, and then I wait like a half hour afterwards, drink some coffee, and when I eat, if I eat a healthy breakfast, 2 hours later, I'm hungry again. And I can eat, and I can get through food that way. So I think me personally doing fasted cardio, it kind of jump starts my metabolism, and it helps my body burn through.
How close are you paying attention to your diet at this point? You honest?
No, I'm not super paying attention to it. I mean, I'm doing my best. The problem I've always had is I just like to eat, so I'll overeat.
Do you find yourself eating like 1 or 2 large meals instead of
for a long
small?
time? Yeah. Like today, I've ate twice already. And what time is it? It's 3:30, and I've only ate twice.
And you get up early.
I wake up at 5:30 every morning.
And how important do you think smaller, frequent meals are over large meals? Like, people that are fasting right now.
For me, it would help me tremendously. The problem is, I eat a small meal and then I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
And then I eat another small meal and then it's too much.
Yeah.
And then I'm stuffed and I'm like, oh man, I feel like I ate a buffet, and then I don't eat for the rest of the day.
I think that's everyone's problem.
Yeah. So I probably just need to be more, just this is how much I'm going to eat. I would be the person that would benefit from what Dave Borlée does. If I had a damn scale with me everywhere and I weighed it and I said, this is all I'm eating.
Full-time bodybuilder.
And then if that's all I did was this is what I'm eating and that's it, I'm sure I would, I don't know how much I could get down to. I'm trying to think the lowest. When I had my shoulder surgery, I couldn't train for almost a year and a half before I could train my upper body because I had 6 screws put in it. And I think the lowest I got was like 239.
No excuses, bro. We got trifecta meals in the fridge over here. So No excuses.
I have no excuse in the world.
You have freezer fulls at your house.
I know. And sometimes I'll go home and I'll be like, man, I've been eating food forever. I'm like, I want some Uber Eats.
Yeah.
But no, I still, like this morning for breakfast, I had a cup and a half of potatoes. I had one trifecta bison patty. I just, broke it up, and I had 2 whole eggs, and that's what I ate. And an hour and a half later, I was hungry. And then on the way here, I stopped at Firehouse.
Oh, yeah, and got a sub?
Because I forgot to grab food before I left, and I was like, shit, I need to get something. I'm like, well, I'm just going to have a sandwich for lunch then.
All right, let's talk a little bit about financial things going on right now. I want to
talk about your new toy.
Okay, what is that? Well, that's financial.
It is, but...
All right, so, guys, I bought the Tesla Model X Plaid.
And you're like the only person that has one.
Well, no, I was the first one in Nevada to get it, I believe. They told me at the dealer. So they delivered it to my house. They were calling me like, hey, do you want us to deliver this? First time ever, bought a car. And they actually were like, hey, we're going to come deliver this to your house. And literally, I don't know if I had to even do any paperwork, really. It was like, because when I ordered it online, all the paperwork was done. Yeah. So it was like literally, okay, here it is. I wasn't home. They walked Angie through all which your phone is your key. Yeah. They do have there's a card that's a key. So it looks like a credit card. So if someone, like, it's called a valet key. So basically, if you leave your car in valet, if they need to move it, it's a card. It just sits right in the center. You don't have to plug it into anything.
So if you lose your wallet, you're screwed.
So like if you're not on Wi-Fi, if you shut your Bluetooth off, the car, you can't run your car. So it's crazy. So the car does everything. It drives up to you. It's got all self-driving.
Hold on. What happens if you're driving and your phone dies?
Well, I don't know. I know your phone has to, because you have to carry the key.
Yeah.
You have the key. Like as a backup, you're supposed to carry it, but like if you don't have a phone, you're screwed. You have to either carry that card or, well.
I mean, I'm sure there's benefits to it. All right, tell me more about this.
Gas prices. I mean, as you know, I put a charger in my house. I saved 20% of my power bill. I registered the VIN number with my power company. So I put a Tesla charger in the house. It charges fully in 5 hours. It gets 281 miles to a charge. Fastest 0 to 60, 2.3 seconds. It's like a rocket.
I know.
And I can't wait for you to drive it because you're going to, I know you've been in Greg's, and I don't even know at Ludacris, but is it?
No, his wasn't as fast. His is 2.9.
But when you drive it, it's different being in the passenger seat. But when you're actually holding the steering wheel, is like the kit car. It's it's just like it
looks like a spaceship.
Yeah. You're going to shit yourself.
I watched this video last night. It shows for it to go really fast, you have to push the brake and the
gas.
No.
You can
hold it
launch
down
mode,
and then it explodes.
Launch mode, but you don't even need to do that. It will snap your neck. But when you're going to be shocked at the tires don't burn out, nothing. It just goes. And it's the craziest car ever. It does everything. The doors open, they close. The car does. It will drive right up to you. It's the best car I've ever owned, and everyone knows out there I've had crazy cars.
I know.
I ordered this based on my buddy Dave Enders. Is like, you have to order this car. They just started making it. It's not out yet. It's the SUV version of the Tesla. And I know a lot of you are like, man, Jay went to the dark side. He went to Tesla. I texted Greg from Trifecta, and I'm like, dude, I went to the dark side. And he's like, oh, welcome to the Tesla family or whatever.
Yeah.
And man, it's hard not to drive that car. Although I'm driving the G-Wagon today.
I know. After you got it, you're like, I don't want any other car.
So I'm on the list. I ordered a bunch of cars, as you know.
Which one do I get to drive?
It's a long list, right? So I'm going to keep it for a while. I mean, I think it's great with the gas prices. I mean, gas prices are outrageous, as we know. I'll be showcasing the Tesla. Maybe when I mentioned it, maybe I'll send you a picture. You can post it up on the on this. Houses. Let's talk about house pricing in Las Vegas. Tell me what you told me about Nevada today.
So for many years, this is one of the cheaper places to live in America. Yeah. And I was looking on this list, and it showed like cost of living per state. Well, now they have like 4 different like groups, where the lowest, mid-high, and then the highest. Nevada's now the second before the top as far as how expensive. It shows like really cheap states are in the low 90s, and then the next step up is upper 90s, and then the low hundreds, which is where we are, and then like California, Alaska, Oregon, Hawaii are like 115 to 120 as far as its rating. So I started, I've been wanting to buy a house out here for a while, but they're just they've gotten so expensive. I'm like, fuck
Well,
this.
listen, when you call me and you're like, the house I want is $850.
Yeah.
It takes me a minute to process because I'm living back in 2000, 2001. I bought a condo, and I know there's someone that goes online here and questions what house I bought.
You're a terrible investor.
Okay. So I bought my condo for $218,000 in Aliso Viejo.
Okay.
It was 104 Breakers Lane. Okay, you guys can look it up. Aliso Viejo back in 2000. It was after the Night of Champions. I sold it for $285 within 2 years, and that condo now is worth around $750. And when I moved to Vegas, the home that I purchased was around, I think that it was around 320 to, I think I paid like 350. Let's just throw the number 350.
How long did you live there?
I lived there from 2002 to 2007. I actually
5 years.
built my house, and I moved in the day I waited to sell my house. So I moved into the new house that I'm currently in the Northwest. And I sold that house the same for $950. So I paid $350 and I sold it for $950.
Yeah.
I made that profit. That house was amazing. Amazing for $350. I went through the divorce and stuff, so I don't know where that would ended up. But it went back down. The person that bought it from me foreclosed, and now I think it's $1.2 million now. Can you imagine though? $350. Yeah. Granted, it was discounted because of 9/11. Yeah. So when you call me and you're like, Jay, I'm looking at a house for $850. I'm thinking in my head, like, what happened to the 400,000, 300,000 homes?
I mean, they have them. They're just, I want a gated community, and I want a pool and a hot tub, and I want a 3-car garage, and I want a certain.
It's crazy that you
level.
Will buy a home with 4 or 5 bedrooms, because I know that's the bedroom size, right?
Yeah, well, because
and you don't have a family.
No.
But why so many bedrooms? Would you buy it? I know you'd probably buy one with 3 bedrooms, right? Yeah. But 2 bedrooms you always want 2, right?
Yes.
Or 3.
No. I'll always want to have an office space.
Okay. And will you want a guest bedroom too?
So you need
3.
I want 2 guest bedrooms.
Okay.
Because, look, I don't have a lot of family, but if my mom wants to come visit, my aunt and uncle want to come out here, like I want to have enough room, but I want those guest rooms on the other side of the house. And then I want more of a, how do I say it? Like
are you being slick with me and planning for a family?
No, I hope not. And look, if the right thing came along, sure. But
no, you always said you wanted a family.
Yeah, I always did, but it just hasn't been in the cards for me yet. Maybe one day. But I don't want it. But at the same time, if you're going to buy a house, you want to buy something that if you want to sell it, you can sell it.
Always. That's the one thing I was waiting for you to say is always purchase a home thinking
a family could buy it.
Yes, because more than likely it's the first house you buy or the home that you buy isn't your home forever.
Yeah.
I literally, the home I'm in now that I've been in for since 2007, so how long is that?
15 years.
I literally said I'm going to keep this for 3 years or whatever. You want to laugh? I'll tell you the honest truth, and this is something I never mentioned. I remember saying to Carrie when we bought this house, we're only going to be able to afford it for so long.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Because it was a huge step up for me.
It's a huge house.
It's a huge house, but the money factor was big, and plus to put in the pool and decorate and everything else, it had 6 bedrooms, guest house, all that, right? Huge.
How much did it cost to decorate when you furnished it? What did it cost?
I did everything. You remember how decked out it was? Around $400,000, I think.
Just to furnish it.
Furnish and do all the curtains, window coverings, and everything.
A lot of people don't look at those costs and how much it costs to fix up the house the way you want it. People don't.
Yes. So I literally bought that house thinking, okay, this is an investment for me.
Yeah.
And granted, how much I can get for it now compared to what I owe. Yeah. And it's big,
Of course.
I mean, that's pretty much.
I would still, in a perfect world, and I don't know if I don't think I could ever do this in Vegas. but I still want 40 to 80 acres, and I want to build a house.
It's just really, it's tough here, man.
Well, no, you can't here. You just can't do it.
I mean,
you have to go to Utah or Reno or something.
I mean, I went back to Mass, and I look around at my brother's farm, and you know, we had 100-something acres there or whatever, and to have like that mindset, we still live in where we came from, right? You're in Wisconsin or wherever else.
Yeah. I look at houses in Wisconsin all
it's
the time.
just, you know, at some point you just never know, and I've getting a lot of questions lately. Is this my final resting place for the rest of my life? And, you know, we talk about this Puerto Rico thing. We talk about, I mean, you know, my dream is like to live on the ocean in California for some odd reason, right? You question that.
If you want to live on the ocean, move to Indonesia.
Yeah, but dude, it's not the U.S., man.
It's amazing.
You know what? I know it's not something I'm aware of, right? I've been to certain places, and I find my comfortable spots.
This is what I'm doing, and I'm saying it. After the Olympia this year, I'm going to Asia for a month, and
I'm going to hold you to that.
I'm going to. It's already being planned. I'm going for a month because I lived there for a long time.
Yeah.
But I want to go spend a week in Thailand, a week in
it's on my bucket list, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, it's a week in Indonesia, because I've never been to Bali, but I've been to Jakarta, which is the capital of Indonesia, and maybe Papua New Guinea. I want to go to Cambodia to see certain castles that I've been wanting to see. Maybe I'll go to the Maldives. Maybe I'll go up to Seychelles on the way back. But I just want to go, because that's the worst time to be here anyways. I don't give a shit about Christmas. I don't give a shit about New Year's. I could care less. But on the other side of the world, and then that's an inexpensive time to go to some of these places. So once you go over there and see some of those spots, you'll be like, I don't want to go to California.
I had friends that moved to Bali, and they love it there.
Of course, because you know,
you can live like you can live like a king, and
you can get a villa on the beach, like a villa for a tenth of what you pay in California. And it's nicer, it's safer, and it's just more beautiful.
You still have to pay U.S. taxes if you keep your passport,
I wouldn't make any money. I'm broke. No, well, you do. We're the only country.
We're having this conversation after the 15th with their taxes. You know, everyone's kind of like, damn, I had to cut a big check to the government. You know,
mine's on extension. Because I don't want to. I know it's going to be a large one. You know, so I can't. But I'm still going there. I'm going there for a month.
All right, so you're in the housing market. Like, interest rates are climbing. Does it scare you at all?
No.
What are the rates up? They were like 5%.
I think they're approaching 5.
Yeah.
I really think, and I'm by no means am I some like
does
guru.
Does the rates outweigh the home prices?
That's what I think. So what I think's happened is the home prices got so high, and then the rates were low, and now the rates are starting to go up. So the home prices are going to come down. And as the rates keep climbing, there's more and more people that are not going to be able to afford these houses, and I think the housing prices are going to come down. So that house that's $850 in a year and a half, maybe it'll be $650. I don't know, but I'm not.
It dropped that much? I think 20%. Maybe how much percent would that be?
Yeah, around there, 650 to 7.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But I don't. I'm not worried about the interest rate.
So if you were to be suggestive, would you tell people to buy a home right now if they were interested in buying a home before?
I mean, I'm not.
You're not a financial.
I'm not a
wizard,
guru by any means. I'm just going off of history and common sense.
I think it's always great.
Go up, rates go down.
But it's always great to have an asset, right? It's great.
Yes.
It's good to have debt to a certain point, correct?
Because if you have debt, as the dollar inflates,
and interest rates are where they're at.
Yeah, and plus you can write off the interest too. So I'm not worried about. I don't really care what the interest rates are. I mean, whatever the lowest possible rate is, I'm going to get because I have good credit and I can put down whatever. So I know I'll get the lowest possible rate that I can.
What are good things to buy today for someone that has extra cash?
Hard assets.
Okay, give
Watches, gold, silver. That's just my opinion. If it's not in your hand, you don't own it.
Certain cars.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't.
Which is crazy, right?
Look at you. You just bought me a Mercedes. You just haven't told anybody yet. No, but think about talk about how many cars you've bought and you've flipped and what you can make on them.
Yeah, but you only sell 3 cars a year before you have to declare yourself a dealer. That's the problem.
Well, then just give me one.
Yeah. But every car that I own right now,
yeah,
whether it's leased or payments or owned, I can basically sell for what I bought the oldest one I bought in 2016. Yeah. I can get all the money I paid for every vehicle or make money on everything that I bought. everything, which is the rare time. And you're like, you're behind me. Yes, that's what I was just gonna say.
Dump 'em.
You're like, sell that shit, sell that shit.
Sell it and put it into something else, because I do think as they start making the
supply chain's weak, man.
As they start making the computer chips, I think you're going to start seeing the prices come down.
I think it'll be a minute though. Certain vehicles,
I'm noticing this with the watch stuff right now. Like, I just reached out to one of the guys that I do stuff with, and I'm gonna be like, yo, should I sell a bunch of these? Because the prices, it's starting to come down a little bit. And I know even if it comes down a little bit and I can sell them and then I can rebuy them, maybe I can.
Yes, you're getting into crypto talk now.
Nah, I'm not. I put like 30 grand in crypto and I got my ass kicked. It's still there.
Yeah.
I'm not selling it until I get my money back.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So what else we need to cover for this episode?
I mean, that's about it. I mean, this is the first time we've actually been able to sit down and do one in a while, and we'll probably start getting more guests on. We'll probably get more people to come in with us when we can, because it's the hard part is, and I'm sorry we weren't able to film one recently. The hard part is just getting the two of us here where we can do this and where we're both in town.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, I travel with you when we go most of the spots. I don't go to all the domestic ones. The international ones, I go to all those. But then there's a lot of times where I'm with you and then I got to jump on a plane and go meet someone somewhere else. So sometimes we aren't able to get these done, but when we can, we do, But I think when I'm looking at outside of next week going to Canada, most of our trips are on weekends. So during the week, we should be able to start, being more consistent with these and getting them out more and more.
Yeah, listen, we appreciate it, guys. I do have the Jay Cutler signature belts available on jcutlershop.com. I am signing every single one of them that goes out the door. I have small to double extra large. So make sure you guys want a signed piece of memorabilia. This is available on Jay Cutler Shop. I do have a limited supply here. I'm looking over at all the supply. But, for episode 28, guys, we wanted to touch a little upon what's been happening, and we'll be back next week to do 29. We want to thank you guys for your comments. We did finish up with our free giveaway T-shirts. That was awesome. We had a lot of people. I just sent out the last one yesterday.
Yep.
I want to appreciate everyone's involvement.
We'll think of a giveaway to do because now we're approaching like 14,000. Maybe we'll do a giveaway when we hit like 20,000 subs. We'll think of a cool giveaway.
Yeah, what would you guys like for a giveaway gift?
Yeah. Comment on the bottom. Comment.
I know you're going to say like this figure sitting behind me or whatever else, but we have a lot of cool. I'm
going to give a couple of Jay's cars away.
Yeah,
I have the credit card for his Tesla.
Yeah, so we do have guys. So our next stop is going to be the Canadian tour. So in Saskatchewan, make sure you guys mark your calendars. Please come by and see us. They are free events.
Yep.
We will put the schedule online. You'll see it on my Instagram. Everywhere else. I mean, I'll be heading over to Pittsburgh shortly, right after that, and then I have a couple appearances, but we'll be at the LA Fit Expo
in May,
and you'll be there both days, right?
Yep,
I'll be there.
Let's see, we got me. You'll be there Sunday. Phil Heath will be there. Regan, who else? Urishna, Whitney Jones. She's coming in, which is kind of cool. 3-time Miss.
Yeah, when are we going to get Phil Heath on the podcast?
We will when he comes.
We got reconnected to Phil Heath here the last couple visits.
Yeah, we'll get him on. I don't know when he's coming to Vegas next, but we'll definitely get him on when he comes.
Maybe we should corner him in L.A. a little bit and see. Yeah. Let's catch up with Phil Heath and see what's happening with Phil Heath.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Everyone wants to know if Phil's coming back. Man, he looked pretty damn impressive. And
look, we saw him in Boston. He was big as a house.
It was kind of funny. Yeah. We were sitting at the meeting, and I'll tell you guys a little story before you sign off. And Phil Heath, Steve Weinberger jokingly says, Phil Klahar.
Yeah.
And Phil looks up and he goes, motherfuckers, you got nervous for a second, didn't you? Because he just yelled, Phil. And he like, Phil, in the back. Yeah, Phil was there and he's like, oh, you guys got nervous. And damn, he looks impressive, man.
Yeah,
still.
I mean it looks like he wouldn't have to do a whole lot.
You guys want to talk about the best
genetics?
No, the best retired Mr. Olympia right now is Phil Heath.
Of course.
Like, he looks incredible.
Yeah,
so
because he's downsized, but he still looks like a cartoon.
Listen, Phil Heath can still come back.
Of course he could.
And I'm not going to egg that on because I know he's got a lot of good things going on, but he looks amazing.
Even like I said, like he told me, like I forgot what his weight was, but it's smaller than normal. But he doesn't look smaller. He still looks like a cartoon.
He's still posting pictures in a tank top and whatever else, and he's still doing the bodybuilding thing. So,
And
yeah, we're gonna have to
back to what we talked about.
We're gonna have to catch up to him. So, yeah, like you said, I mean, you have Eurishan there, Regan.
Yep.
Myself.
There's a bunch of other people there, like Billy Blanks and some of the other, local people that.
Cali Muscle there, or
I think he is too.
okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Big Boy, or
yeah, I think he is too. I haven't
seen
I
the
went and
list
looked on the website to see who was all on there, but I just know the 5-6 people that I'm bringing into the expo, and so we got that one, and then the American Fitness Expo in July. We'll have another big lineup because we'll keep adding people to that one as well. Then they're only going to have one more Fit Expo this year in San Jose.
I'll miss it, right?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
It's the last weekend in June. Originally, I think that was supposed to be the Nut Bash, but they moved it.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the last one of the year.
Okay.
And they're not doing any other ones this year because of scheduling conflicts. But next year, starting in January, it's going to be back to the normal, and they're going to do the San Diego, San Jose, Anaheim, and LA. It's going to be right back to normal. So that'll be good for us.
All right, guys. Comments, concerns. I'll touch upon our topics. If you guys want to chime in, make sure you guys comment, like, share the video. Give us your thoughts on any discussion today. And for episode 28, from Matt and I, we'll see you for 29 very soon. We're out.